초콜릿은 달콤해 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 오렌지는 상큼해 상큼해 상큼해.
Hi everyone. So our report was all about the Erickson's theory of psychosocial development. So, who is Erickson's? He was an ego psychologist who developed one of the most popular and influential theories of development. While his theory was impacted by psychoanalyst Sigmund Freud's work, Erickson's theory centered on psychosocial development rather than psychosexual development. So it was stated here that Erickson's development, which is theory of psychosocial, is one of the most popular and influential theories of development. And it says also that Erickson's theory was just focused on the psychosocial development rather than Sigmund Freud's work, which is the psychosexual development. Here's the stages that make up his theory are as follows. Stage 1. Trust versus mistrust. The trust versus mistrust stage is the first stage of psychologist Erickson's theory of psychosocial development. This stage begins at birth and lasts until your child is around 18 months old. According to Erickson, it is the most important period of your child's life as it shapes their view of the world as well as their overall personality. So, this stage was the most important period, right, of child's life, and it shapes their view of the world. Aside from that, their overall personality also. It begins at birth and lasts until the child is around 18 months. So like this example, if a baby cries and a caregiver fails to comfort him by providing his needs, he develops a sense of mistrust. He does not feel that the world is a safe or secure place. Stage 2. Autonomy versus shame and doubt. The second stage of Erickson's theory of psychosocial development takes place during early childhood and is focused on children developing a greater sense of personal control. So, the second stage was focused on the children's development, which is having a greater sense of personal control, and it takes during early childhood. The example of this, if you are a parent or if you have ever interacted with a child between the ages of 18 months and 3 years, then you have probably witnessed many of the hallmarks of the autonomy versus shame and doubt stage. It is at this point in development that young children begin to express a greater need for independence and control over themselves and the world around them. Stage 3. Initiative versus guilt. The third stage of psychosocial development takes place during the preschool years. At this point in psychosocial development, children begin to assert their power and control over the world through directing play and other social interactions. This stage takes during the preschool years, right? So, in this point, children have rights already to control their world, like social interactions or playing with others. And they also begin to proclaim their rights and power. Children who are successful at this stage feel capable and able to lead others. Those who fail to acquire these skills are left with a sense of guilt, self-double, self-doubt rather, and lack of initiative. So those children that are successful at this stage can feel capability, that feeling they will able to lead others, and those children feel lack of initiative can feel guilt. So for example, a child may choose the rules for themselves or others within the game. This is the beginning of initiative. The guilt comes into play when children make mistakes while navigating these positions, but it can also cause a child to avoid trying to initiate games or lead others. Stage 4. Industry versus inferiority. The fourth psychosocial stage takes place during the early school years from approximately ages 5 to 11. Through social interactions, children begin to develop a sense of pride in their accomplishments and abilities. So, through social interactions, children started to develop their sense of pride when it comes in their accomplishments and abilities. This takes during the early school years, ages 5 to 11. Children need to cope with new social and academic demands. Success leads to a sense of competence, while failure results in feelings of inferiority. So it must be the children to cope with new social and academic demands. It's stated here also that success lead to a sense of having a capability of their all doings, and to those failure could feel an inferiority or lowness. For example, imagine two children in the same fourth grade class. Olivia finds science lessons difficult, but her parents are willing to help her each night with her homework.
Stage 5. Identity versus confusion. The fifth psychosocial stage takes place during the often turbulent teenage years. This stage plays an essential role in developing a sense of personal identity which will continue to influence behavior and development for the rest of a person's life. Teens need to develop a sense of self and personal identity. Success leads to an ability to stay true to yourself, while failure leads to confusion and a weak sense of self. During adolescence, children explore their independence and develop a sense of self. Those who receive proper encouragement and reinforcement through personal exploration will emerge from the stage with a strong sense of self and feelings of independence and control. Those who remain unsure of their beliefs and desires will feel insecure and confused about themselves and the future. Example, during the stage of identity versus rule confusion, parents and teachers alike may face adolescents who are exerting more independence through defiant or rebellious actions and testing limits and boundaries such as purposely exceeding curfews, failing to complete homework or course, or dressing or acting in a way a parent or teacher disapproves of. Stage 6. Intimacy versus isolation. Intimacy versus isolation is the sixth stage of Erickson'S theory of psychosocial development, which happens after the fifth stage of identity versus rule confusion. This stage takes place during young adulthood between the age of approximately 19 and 40. The major conflict at this stage of life centers on forming intimate, loving relationship with other people. Success at this stage leads to fulfilling relationships. Struggling at this stage, on the other hand, can result in feelings of loneliness and isolation. Stage 7. Generativity versus stagnation. Adults need to create or nurture things that will outlast them, often by having children or creating a positive change that benefits other people. Success leads to feelings of usefulness and accomplishments, while failures results in shallow involvement in the world. During adulthood, we continue to build our lives, focusing on our career and family. Those who are successful during this phase will feel that they are contributing to the world by being active in their home and community. Those who fail to attain his skill will feel unproductive and uninvolved in the world. Stage 8. Integrity versus despair. The final psychosocial stage occurs during old age and is focused on reflecting back on life. At this point in development, people look back on the events of their lives and determine if they are happy with the life that they live or if they regret the things they did or didn't. Erickson's theory differed from many others because it addressed development throughout the entire lifespan, including old age. Older adults need to look back on life and feel a sense of fulfillment. Success at this stage leads to feeling of wisdom, while failure results in regret, bitterness, and despair. At this stage, people reflect back on the events of their lives and take stock. Those who look back on a life they feel as well live will feel satisfied and ready to face the end of their lives with a sense of peace. Those who look back and only feel regret will instead feel fearful that their lives will end without accomplishing the things they feel they should have.